Hi everyone and welcome to Cosplay with Constance. Today we're at New York City Comic Con with Todd McFarlane of McFarlane Toys. Go to McFarlane.com to check out his amazing works of art. Now Todd, how are you enjoying the Comic Con so far?
You know, well, you can see how busy it is, right? And if you go up on that balcony and you look down, I work with the NFL and I've been to Super Bowls, and this is like the Super Bowl for 4 days in a row, right? It's just this massive people. So when I was a young kid, when I was 16, being a geek and a nerd was sort of a bad thing. And now, look at this, we've taken over the planet. It's awesome. So.
Yeah, we nerds really know how to get together these days.
Oh, in a big way now, right?
Oh yeah, so much so. Now, we're a cosplay talk show, and I just want to get your opinion on what do you think about cosplay?
I think it's cool. When I walk around, I mean, as you know, I would say cosplay is no different than any other occupation like art. There's some really great, brilliant stuff. There's some kind of ugly stuff and a bunch in between, right? But when you see the really fantastic ones, you marvel at it, right? You go, people have spent a lot of time in their garage manufacturing and building stuff, and they're almost like mini celebrities themselves because they got a crowd of people taking photos around them. So I think it's cool.
It's very true. Now, would you ever consider cosplaying?
You know what? I was a baseball player through forever, and so ultimately I've been wearing costumes for a long time, right? You get up, you put their stirrups on, you put your little pants, you put your little cap. So I'll dress up in any costume anytime. I don't look quite as good. You know, I'm not big and beefy like some of these other guys that are superheroes, and I'm not sexy like the ladies. So I would have to pick like the right. Maybe I could be the Vulture. Maybe the Vulture, a villain for Spider-Man. Maybe I could pull that one off.
You should totally try it. It'd be a really cool one too. Have you ever seen anyone cosplay one of the characters you've created?
Oh yeah, and it's weird because you would think like a character. I created Spawn, right? And I created Spawn and co-created Venom, which is a big sort of villain for Spider-Man. Those two they're sort of simple to draw, if you will, but they're sort of hard to make a costume. And I think part of it is because there's the design of them is so simple. If you make the costume too simple, it doesn't look interesting, right? So the Venoms I like, the one where people like add these big gnarly teeth, and then they got the big claws, and they'll put a little bit of a texture on it or something like that. And even with Spawn, the smooth Spawn suits, aren't as nearly as cool as the people who use like cracked leather, right, and that kind of stuff, right? So it feels like it's a little more medieval. Yeah.
Those ones are really cool. Now, where did you get your inspiration for the creation of Spawn?
I created him back in high school, like way before I ever broke in. And originally he was based in space because Star Wars was sort of big back then. But the theory was, what if you took a hero and you just sort of stripped him of his identity and then put him on the world? How would he survive, given that he didn't really have a home, right? And the thing is with the superhero, Superman was never interesting to me because he was just perfect all the time. He was a Boy Scout right from day one, and he's always been a Boy Scout. And to me, the heroes I always liked were the ones that were a little more flawed, right? So somebody like Wolverine, who wasn't always nice all the time, who let his emotions get the better of him, I always thought they were sort of more interesting characters because it's not about being the hero, it's the journey of being a hero. So for instance, if you got hit by a bolt of lightning and all of a sudden you could lift like the Empire State Building over your head, right? Then tomorrow what you will be is a reporter who's just very strong. You won't be a hero. So the question is, as you move forward, now that you've got that power, will you learn to be a hero or will you fail at it? And to me, that the story of whether you succeed or fail is way more interesting than having the superpower. So,
I definitely agree with that. See where a hero could go, whether or not they're going to be a hero or villain.
So, yeah. Tomorrow could you fix world peace and world hunger? No. But if I give you a superpower, could you do it tomorrow? No. So you're going to have to learn how to actually do it, and maybe you never will. So that's actually sort of how I come up with stories. Just you put them in situations and just see how they react as a human.
I definitely agree with that. So when did you know you wanted to be in like the the art industry or making comics? Was there just a moment that you knew this is what you wanted to do for the rest of your life?
I was that proverbial best artist in the class. The kid who was always doodling, and when the teacher needed a drawing on there, I remember doing, as weird as this may sound, I remember doing perspectives when I was 5, right? The teacher thought I did it wrong, and I go, no, the camera's up here. I didn't use those words, but they were like, wow, okay, that's pretty advanced. So, but I bought my first comic at about 15 or 16, and I drew and drew and drew. I just had about 8 styles. And when at 16, when I started picking up comic books, I went, wow, I'm going to teach myself this American superhero comic book style. And then from that moment on, the answer is yes. I sent off, over the years, 700 samples, got rejected hundreds and hundreds of times. And then eventually somebody said yes, and I got into the business. And 25, 30 years later, I'm still here.
It's really cool. So did you have like a favorite comic series or favorite hero growing up?
I would say when I was a kid, Batman. I always thought Batman was cool. And here's why. Going back to the human part of it, intellectually, and I knew it would never happen, but if you push Superman out the window or Spider-Man out the window, they could save themselves because one was invincible and the other one could stick to the wall. Theoretically, Batman, you push him out the window and he doesn't have his batarang, he hits the ground and he's dead, right? So I always thought it was kind of cool that this guy would sit there, and he reminds me a lot of myself because I just can get angry at things. And he just said, okay, I'm handsome, I don't want to date people. I got money, I don't want to necessarily buy cool things for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come home from work and I'm going to sit in my house and I'm going to wait and wait and wait, and then at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to put on a black suit and I'm going to go scare the crap out of the bad guys. And it just, for a guy like, it makes perfect sense because I just go get them, right? Don't put up with it, right? So.
Yeah. And do you have any favorite comic book series now?
Walking Dead, right? I mean, we're the president of Image Comics, the 3rd largest comic company in the country. Everybody knows Marvel and DC, but number 3 for the last 20 years has been our company, Image Comics. And my partner's the one who created Walking Dead. Robert Kirkman, he's killing it, not only in the comic books, but the TV show is, doing some historic things.
Now, what is the website for Image Comics so we can have our viewers take a look at that too?
Either just go to image.com or imagecomics.com. Google it, you'll get there. We publish over 70 books. I think we have 18 of them have been optioned for Hollywood right now. So again, they're developing a lot of the books, given that Marvel and DC are now owned by Marvel by Disney and DC by Warner Brothers. The other studios need content, and so they're coming to places like us to say, hey, you got some cool books. And unlike the other studios, the creators own everything. We don't own anything. We're just a publishing house. You invent something, and you get to keep it lock, stock, and barrel, and we don't have any ownership in it.
That's cool. Do you have any big projects you're working on now?
Just finished writing the first draft of the new reboot for a Spawn movie. That one, I'll put it away. I just put it away. It's a little bit long, so I'll put it away for about 30, 40 days, come back, do a second draft, and then I'm sure I'll have to do a 3rd and 4th, but after the second one, I'll go into Hollywood at that point and go hook a couple of actors, and we'll just get it going.
I think I speak for all Todd McFarlane fans when I say we really, really can't wait for the Spawn movie.
It'd be dark, scary, and R-rated. That's the movie I'm writing right now. Yeah.
Looking forward to it. And do you have any advice for people trying to get into the comic book industry or an art industry?
Yeah, look. If you're an artist, the best advice I ever got, and it was the one that I hated. I go, really? Was they just said, Todd, you need to draw more. And I went, what? I came a long ways for you to tell me that. In hindsight, it was right, because I wasn't ready at that time. My artwork wasn't that good, and the only way I was going to get better was to continue to draw. So when I see 2 people show me artwork at the shows like here, and they show me their portfolios, and I sort of say the same thing, the person who's going to draw 2 hours a day, every day, is going to be better than the person who draws 2 hours a month, right? So I think that art to some degree is like learning a language. It's just a visual language, right? The only reason I draw better eyes than you is because I've done 1,000,000, you haven't. If you did 1,000,000, you'd draw pretty good eyes too. So if you do them over and over and over, you'll get better at it, right? It's just like if I practice learning Japanese and I practice it 2 hours a day and you don't, I'm going to be better in a year. I think art's the exact same way. And when you send off your samples, just keep sending it, keep sending it, keep sending it, and save yourself a heartache, ladies and gentlemen. Assume that they're going to say no, right? And one day they're going to say yes. It's going to be the best day of your life, right? But if you think they're going to say yes, you're going to get punished when they say no. You're going to tear it. So just go into every single business meeting, every single interview, every single portfolio, and assume that the answer is going to be no. And one time you're going to walk out the door and go, where are you going? We want you. And you'll be shocked, and it'll be a great day, and you can phone your mom and tell her about it.
Yeah, I'm sure there are many people out there waiting for that day too. Yeah. Now, what would you say was the hardest or most difficult project that you've had to work on?
The hardest project? I was doing Spider-Man. We were doing it pretty good, and then they decided, because it was so popular, that they wanted to do it twice a month, right? And so at that, I was penciling and inking the book, which is already doing the work of 2 people. So I was basically doubling up my work, and then for a couple months, they said we wanted to do it bi-weekly, which means that instead of coming out once a month, it comes out twice a month. So I had to do then the work of 4 people in 1 month, and in hindsight, the work suffered a little bit. You know, I learned that you can't overdo whatever sort of skill level and time frame that you're comfortable with. You push any of that, and it starts to compromise the artwork.
Okay. All right, well, I think that's all we have time for today.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you so much for talking with
I
us.
appreciate
Is there any last words you want to say to your fans out there?
Keep doing those cool costumes, right? We love to see them when you come out here, right? Sometimes I even give gifts away when I see some that I think are fantastic. So keep doing it, and don't let anybody discourage you, right? It's all art. Keep doing your art.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
It was great talking with you.